Senator Dick Gordon now plans to invite presidential son and Davao City Vice Mayor Paulo Duterte and son-in-law Manasseh Carpio to the Senate probe into the 6.4 billion peso shabu shipment smuggled from China. This after President Rodrigo Duterte told his son to attend the probe and also invoke his right to silence. Senator Antonio Trillanes earlier moved to invite the two after customs broker and fixer Mark Taguba read text messages implicating them in smuggling. But Taguba backtracked on his claim September 1 and claimed the two are not involved in smuggling. Gordon refused to invite the younger Duterte and Carpio last week, saying the allegations against them are hearsay. Results from the Public Attorney's Office's autopsy show 19-year-old Carl Arnaiz was intentionally killed. This is contrary to the police report, which said that Arnaiz shot it out with the cups, resulting in his death. PAO Forensics Chief Erwin Erfe says Arnaiz suffered 5 gunshot wounds, 3 to the middle of his chest, 1 to the left side of his chest, and 1 to the back of his arm. Erfe says, quote, "Based on our trajectory studies, it looks like he was kneeling at the time of the first 2 to 3 shots, and the last 2 shots were inflicted while he was lying down." It also appears that Arnaiz was handcuffed, beaten up, and dragged before he was shot. Philippine National Police Chief Ronald De La Rosa earlier said Caloocan City cops tried to apprehend Arnaiz for robbing a cab driver on August 18, but the teenager supposedly fired at the police, prompting a shootout in the C3 area. De La Rosa said the cops should produce the cab driver as their witness. Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre has ordered the National Bureau of Investigation to conduct a parallel probe into Arnaiz's death. Presidential spokesman Ernesto Abella says President Rodrigo Duterte is waiting for Congress's approval before beginning talks with the Marcoses for the return of some wealth, including gold bars, to the government. Duterte earlier said authorization is needed since that is the money to be recovered by the government of the Philippines, and that was the offer. Abella says Congress is needed to set parameters, taking into account concerns raised by critics and the citizenry. He says, quote, "We therefore urge the Congress to authorize the President to proceed with negotiations." Abella could not say what involvement the Presidential Commission on Good Government would have in the talks, despite its mandate to recover the ill-gotten wealth of the Marcoses. Duterte previously said he prefers to assign someone not identified with anybody to handle the negotiations with the Marcos family. The military says Abdullah Maute, the leader of the Maute group responsible for the attack in Marawi City, was killed in an airstrike last month. Western Mindanao Command Chief Carlito Galvez cites information in the chat application Telegram, where the local terrorist group is reportedly communicating with ISIS. Galvez says there are online posts paying tribute to the martyred Sheikh al-Miyahad Abu al-Hassan. The name Abdullah Maute goes by in the ISIS network. He says chatter over Telegram indicates Abdullah Maute was killed. Galvez says the military is working to get physical evidence, such as DNA, to confirm Abdullah's death. The military previously reported Abdullah's brother Omar Maute was also likely killed in the battle zone. But Galvez says Omar turned out to be alive. He adds, Abu Sayyaf leader Isnilon Hapilon is also alive and is inside the battle zone. South Korea warns Pyongyang could be preparing another missile launch as it steps up its defenses following the North's biggest ever nuclear test and declaration it had a hydrogen bomb. Seoul says it will deploy more terminal high-altitude area defense missile launchers from the United States. Pyongyang says the device it detonated Sunday was a hydrogen bomb, far more powerful than the fission-based devices it previously tested, and small enough to fit into a missile. South Korea estimates the bomb's strength at 50 kilotons, 5 times the size of the North's previous nuclear test, and more than 3 times bigger than the US device, which obliterated Hiroshima in 1945.